Welcome to the Blerdock podcast. This is your boy Blerdock, aka the Black Nerd and Jock. I'm back, bitches. But I'm back. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be. I'm excited about coming back to doing my projects again. I missed doing a podcast. Just had some things that I had to, just try to figure out what I'm going to do. I always had the podcast in the back of my mind. In the midst of, my hiatus, I, was doing another podcast. If any of you seen it, it was the This John Active podcast with my boy Hood Nerd. And we're a little bit of hiatus on that one too. We haven't been there for about a month or so. But we're trying to get back into it. Or a couple months actually. We're trying to get back into it. We had a discussion, and he has the same mindset that I had, that 2026 is going to be our year. We're going to try to do more episodes. We're going to try to get back into it. But right now, every week I'm trying to get back into doing my podcast every week and doing more streaming. I have, streamed some games and whatnot. In the midst of it, just waiting to put it out. And we talked about doing, this John Actor podcast every other week. With our lives, with our busy lives, and trying to fit in something that we actually want to do and not work really, and just actually do stuff that we want to do for fun. And we love podcasting. We just gotta find the right time to do it and the right day to do it. So we will get back onto this shit, I promise you. But without further ado, you already know, if you know my podcast, let's get into the sports shit right now. Alrighty. Now, sports. Always had a love for sports. Right now it's football. We have the final 8 teams for the NFL. We'll get into college football in a little bit. But the NFL, we have 8 teams, the final 8. The Bills and the Broncos, 49ers at Seahawks, Texans at Patriots, and Rams at Bears. Now, these should be some pretty good games. So far, the playoffs have been phenomenal. The playoffs have been very, very phenomenal and been very, very great. So I'm excited about what's happening, or what's going to happen in the world of football. So on Saturday, we have both games, Bills and Broncos and 49ers at Seahawks. Those are the first 2 games that's going to be on Saturday. And Sunday, it's going to be Texans at Patriots and Rams at Bears. Now, the Bills at Broncos, Josh Allen, this is it, man. This is what you gotta get into it, man. You have to. This is it. No Patrick Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow. You ain't got none of the big guys. I mean, you got Bo Nix, who's not bad, but he's none of those guys, at least not yet. And then potential C.J. Stroud and Drake May. Again, young quarterbacks, not those dudes yet. So, yeah, you gotta. This is it for you, man. This is it. After this, I think the Bills fans are gonna be pretty much done with you after. So, yeah, you gotta lock in. You gotta lock in. This is it for you. And with that being said, I'm actually gonna go with the Bills because I think he knows this is it for him. 1 second. Now, the next 49ers at Seahawks. Sam Darnold's kind of hurt right now. I guess he just hurt his oblique, but he's still planning to play. So he's still planning on playing. With the healthy Seahawks team, I'm going to go with the Seahawks if they're healthy. 49ers are banged up, but they've been doing a phenomenal job, and utilizing every player that they have to next man stand, next man up. They have that whole next man up mentality. They just lost. I just thought of his fucking name, George Kittle. They just lost George Kittle. See how they handle. I mean, they handled the Eagles pretty well. Fuck the Eagles. They handled the Eagles pretty well, and they handled that. And let's see if they'll do the same thing for the Seahawks. They have a chance of doing that. I'm not so high on the Seahawks, but with the healthy Seahawks team, I think they're a better team than what the Eagles were. Because the Eagles, I don't even know what their fucking identity was. I don't know what their identity was. It seemed like they were switching up on a week-to-week basis. The 49ers, I think they know what they have. They may be hungrier than the Seahawks because of all the injuries and all the other guys stepping up. But I'm just gonna go with the Seahawks on that one. The Texans and Patriots. Those games are on Sunday. I think I'm gonna go with Patriots on this one. The Texans, I'm not so confident in the Texans. I mean, they did kind of struggle with Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh had a couple of mishaps on reading about Texans. One, the Texans didn't look very strong to me. The Patriots, they look like a strong team. Mike Vrabel doing a very good job coaching that team, and as he always does when he get a young crew, they play for him. And him being a former Patriot, now being a head coach there, I think he's gonna he don't put too much on Drake May's plate, and I think they're gonna handle this game pretty well. So I'm gonna go with the Patriots, Rams, and at Bears, the second game on Sunday. I'm gonna go with the Rams. No, it's kind of a no-brainer for me. I think the Rams are the most complete team in this whole group under the final 8 teams. Uh, they just had some bad games that they played against. The Bears, again, they they've been coming back and they're good at coming back, but they can't let the Rams go up big. They let the Rams go up big, it's over. It's a wrap. It's not. They're not one of those teams that's going to let you come back and win like the Packers did. So, uh, you know, yeah, the Bears. I got the Rams. I got the Rams. I was going to say something about the cheese grater guy because I think that was the greatest thing in sports I've seen in a long time. That's one of the greatest things I've seen in sports in a long time was the cheese grater, bro. And as a Cowboy fan, have a little bit of a hate towards the Packers because we always lose to them in the fucking playoffs, and we lost Michael Parsons to them. And I don't wish any ill will against Michael Parsons, but you know, got hurt out for the season toward the ACL. You know, Jerry Jones just fucked that one up though. I'm not gonna put that on Michael Parsons. Jerry Jones fucked that one up big time, as he always does, and just see where we were at. It was just a subpar team, and making all those moves didn't do anything for us. I mean, Dak Prescott played his ass off. He did what he did. Did what he could do. George Pickens, don't fuck that one up for us. Please. Please, Jerry. Let somebody else do the work. Stop being a general manager. You're fucking things up for the Cowboys. Jesus. It's making it very, very hard for me to be a Cowboys fan. Very difficult. That's why I love the Detroit Lions. I love their culture. They had a bad year this year. They've been dealing with some injuries too, but still no excuse. They like to play for Dan Campbell, who is the former Dallas Cowboy, by the way. And he's bringing in a whole different kind of culture. We need a coach like that. We need an owner to stay back, do what they need to do. Look at Robert Kraft and the Patriots, bro. He's letting football people do what football people do, and they sucked for a little bit after Tom Brady. Now they're in the fucking AFC divisional round playoffs. Could be going to the AFC championship game and possibly the Super Bowl. in just a short few years. The young quarterback letting football people do what football people does. Sorry, just had to go on a little rant about the Cowboys because at the beginning of this year, man, I was in my feelings. I was like, yo, I don't know if I want to be a Cowboys fan anymore. This shit is crazy. This shit is pissing me off. I was so mad as soon as I seen that Michael Parsons trade. I was like, yo, and I was sitting here. I was actually sitting here, actually doing some voiceover work. And I was like, and the role that I had to do was to be a very like upbeat, happy-go-lucky guy. As soon as I read that shit on my phone, all that fucking energy went. I was just like, yo, I can't. I just lost it. I was like, I don't have the energy. I don't have the motivation to do it. Luckily it wasn't something that my agent gave to me or something that I was going to do on my own, but I had no energy. After that, I left. I shut everything off and I was just like, yeah, I'm done. I'm fucking done. Jerry Jones, the fuck are you doing, man? Yeah, I was just out of it. I just couldn't do it. Like, I just, but let's get back into the football, get back on the track of things, starting getting into my feelings again. Um, but yeah, so that's it for the NFL football. But college football, Indiana, Hoosiers, whatever. Doesn't seem like it's much of just a basketball school now. They're number one in the country and in the national championship game, starting on Monday, January 19th. They're going to be playing against, damn, who are they playing against? Miami, sorry. I was going to say Oregon, but it's Miami, excuse me. But against Miami, who's been playing very, very well, had a little bit of controversy between Miami and Notre Dame, saying that Notre Dame should have been in the playoffs and not Miami. But Miami beat Notre Dame, and now Miami's in the championship game. Would Notre Dame be in the championship game? We'll never know. But right now in Indiana and Miami, and the way that Indiana's been playing right now, they've been playing bully football. I mean, the way they destroyed Alabama and Oregon, oh my God. After that Ohio State game, it was just like, that's all they needed. It was like, just get these niggas out of the way. Now, the other two, Alabama and Oregon, they ain't what they used to be. Let's get them out of the way. Let's just bulldoze over them. So, yeah, my money's on Indiana. The way they've been playing lately, they've been playing all around good football, all three phases of the game. So I'm gonna go. My pick is gonna be Indiana. It might be another blowout. To be honest with you, Miami is tough. Miami is tough and Miami is good, but this one might be another 30-point game for Indiana. Oh, who knows? I guess we'll see, but I've got my money on Indiana. Um, Now moving on to basketball, we got college basketball. This just recently happened that many college players have been charged for point shaving schemes. I think they've charged four players so far. Well, actually, they got a lot before playing right now, as of last week, who have been charged. Excuse me. Um, uh, yeah, but they have, and it's a lot of low-level D1 schools that's been being investigated on these point shaving schemes. And I get it. A lot of these low level schools don't have NIL deals. These players don't have NIL deals. They've been getting bribed anywhere between $10,000 and $30,000 to, play have an underwhelming performance to underperform. So they just been, I kind of get it. You're a college kid. You don't even know if you're going to make it pro. You don't even know if you're going to go overseas and get paid. And if you do go overseas and get paid, you don't know where you're going to go. You may not even get to Spain where they pay a lot of money. You may end up going to some small little country where they're paying you just enough to eat. You know what I'm saying? Just enough to live. Where you want to get paid the big bucks. You're not going to get $10,000, $30,000 per game that you underperform. Oh, excuse me, I'm tired. It's pretty late. This is what I'm trying to go through here, but I'm still gonna try to push through. Um, but yeah, I get it, and I guess they can be serving some time, but I don't think anybody's gonna serve any time. They just do that to try to scare people. Um, yeah, so yeah, that's pretty crazy. It's a point shaving scheme. And still on to basketball, Jonathan Kuminga wants to be traded from the Golden State Warriors. They have not been using that guy. They picked him, I believe, in 2020, 2021, maybe. First round, seventh overall pick. And, I mean, the kid can play. He's only 23 years old. So he still have a lot of years left. But I've been reading that they have not been using him. I thought they were going to use him this year because it's like, all right, Klay Thompson is gone. You don't have the same guys that you had when you won the championship a few years back. So start using him. Start getting him into that rotation with Steph Curry and Draymond Green, who's clearly fallen off, and just get him into that new rotation there. And Steve Kerr, I don't know what he's been doing with him because I guess the first 12 to 13 games he started, and he's been playing very well. You know, he's been playing somewhat consistent, but he just needed to get more games into there. And then all of a sudden, the last 13 games that I read, he has not seen the floor. And then when Steve Kerr decided he wanted to rest the starters and then play him, he was like, nah, my back hurts. I got back soreness. Yeah, I'm not playing today. Yeah, I mean, I imagine you feel disrespected. You know, you feel disrespected. It's not like he's been underperforming. He just haven't been given a lot of the chance. And he's so young. So the two teams that they're looking to trade him to were Sacramento and Dallas Mavericks. Both teams can work for him. Sacramento, I mean, they may end up moving Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan to Golden State, which could probably help Golden State. Who knows? Then, Dallas Mavericks, I mean, they've been trying to get Anthony Davis. So if they can get Anthony Davis for him and, some other guys for Anthony Davis, that could work for both teams. Have another, just continue to build on that young crew in Dallas. Another team that I'm thinking about, and this is because I'm biased and I'm a homer. Chicago Bears or Chicago Bulls. I'm a Chicago Bulls fan, a long-time Chicago Bulls fan. People that have listened to my podcast know I'm a Chicago Bulls fan. Thanks to Michael Jordan, the GOAT, the only GOAT. We're not going to do this LeBron James and Michael Jordan GOAT conversation. That's long gone. Now all I'm seeing on Reddit is just LeBron James GOAT trying to make an argument for that motherfucker. He's one of the greatest of all time, but he's not the GOAT. His time is past. It's already done. Anywho, back to Chicago. I think he'll be a good fit for Chicago. You can get Vujacic from Chicago, and maybe another player or so. Damansu, I believe his name is. But yeah, you can try to kind of help take Kobe White. I mean, I can keep him, but you can take him too. I don't care. But yeah, I think he'd be a good fit for Chicago with that young crew there. So those are the three teams I think he probably would be a good fit for. And we'll see where he'll end up. The NBA records teams, yeah, they just just looking into the records of the teams. I mean, there's a lot of teams, just like the NFL, that there's a lot of surprising teams that are high in the power rankings. Detroit Pistons, San Antonio Spurs. I mean, Oklahoma City is the reigning champion, so you got them. I mean, you have who was the other team? 'Cause there was a lot of teams in the NBA that were just surprising. And let me just read you the settings here. So, Detroit, surprise. New York, no. Boston, Toronto, Philadelphia, Orlando, Cleveland, and Miami all on the East all have winning records. Now, Milwaukee was a surprising team of how bad they are. Milwaukee, thought, Charlie would do something, but in Indiana, you can clearly see that the impact that it had with Hansborough. Tyler Halliburton. Tyler Halliburton. Yeah, I forgot about Tyler Hansborough. But Halliburton, with his injury, you can see it has a huge impact on Indiana. They're 9-32. Um, I think did they get rid of Pedro Pascal? Um, Pascal Siakam. Not sure if they got rid of him, but if they did, that's another reason too. Um, but on the Western Conference, you have Oklahoma City, Denver, San Antonio. It's a quick surprise. Minnesota, Lakers, Houston, Phoenix, and Golden State all have winning records. You would think, maybe the Clippers wouldn't be so bad. And I'm honestly kind of surprised about Sacramento. Thought they would be actually be better than this. 11-30. It's crazy. New Orleans, they're just gonna be bad. Damn. I just can't, In Washington, they're on the same level with Washington. Washington, I expect to be horrible. And speaking of Washington, um, yeah, Atlanta and Washington trade, or Washington, yeah, destinations that, um, yeah, I can't remember his name, from Atlanta, the little guy, Trey Young. Trey Young destination wanted to be Washington. You wanted to go from Atlanta to Washington. Maybe he's from Washington. I don't know. Maybe he's from Washington, D.C. I have no clue why he wanted to choose that place to go to. Because they've been bad for quite a few years. I mean, ever since Jordan was on that team, they have not been good. Even when Jordan was on that team, they weren't even good. 40-year-old Michael Jordan was on Washington Wizards was not good. You know, um, I don't know why he chose that destination, but you just went from a subpar team to a horrible team. But hey, maybe there's something there that he wanted to see. I don't know why that was a choice of destination or destination of choice. I don't know why that was a destination of choice, but we'll see. We'll see how the NBA unfolds on this. So now we have. Lately, I've been getting into boxing. You can kind of think Jake Paul for getting me reinterested in boxing. I haven't really. I've been kind of watching some fights here and there, but I haven't been watching them like that. Um, but I mean, hell, that Anthony Joshua fight. I remember looking at the Vegas numbers and Vegas bets, and I saw that Anthony Joshua was the heavy favorite. I was like, okay, this is not a scripted fight then, because Vegas must know something, because they were not going to take a chance on having Anthony Joshua be the heavy favorite, and everybody picked Jake Paul to win the fight, because everybody think it would be scripted, and he was a huge underdog. They was going to lose a lot of money on this shit. And I remember looking when he fought Mike Tyson, and I saw that Jake Paul was a favorite. And I was like, yeah, Vegas knows something. So it's a scripted fight. I knew, and then it came to find out that it was a scripted fight. That Mike Tyson needed the money. Ended up getting like north of $20 million for that fight for losing, and they had the contract and everything that like 4 million per round after round three or something like that, or round 4 or 5, some shit like that. After round three, I believe. After round three, because there were 8 rounds, and after round three, it was $4 million per round if Mike Tyson survives. Yeah, really just Jake Paul. But yeah, I was like, okay, this is not gonna be a script fight. But that was a frustrating fight to watch. 'Cause Jake Paul was just grabbing at his fucking leg, just like, yo, guess he realized, okay, this dude is not gonna stick to the script. So yeah, clearly got knocked out, broke his jaw. But but that's not what I wanted to talk about when it comes to boxing. Um, the earlier fight that we had before that fight happened was Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Now that was a good fight, you know. And speaking of Terrence Crawford, he retired. So during, because of his retirement, he was the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world, according to the rankings. Now we have Alexander Usyk, if I'm saying his name right, but I'm just reading it. He's the #1 fighter in the world now, pound for pound, a heavyweight. And then, some of the highlights, some of these guys, because some of these guys I know, a lot of them I don't know. David Benavidez is #6. He's a sneaker. I like watching him fight. Shakur Stevenson is #7. Devin Haney is #9, and Teofimo Lopez Jr. had finally got into the ranking because Terrence Crawford had retired. So these are the top 10 pound for pound boxers. And I just didn't go off on some of the names because I do know some of them, but I don't know how to pronounce their names. But I'm getting more and more into boxing, and I have actually started boxing, starting into a boxing gym. It's exciting. It's a lot. Now I have a higher respect for boxers because of that. All I had was a 30-minute session. He whooped my ass, bro. The coach that I had to train me for 30 seconds or 30 minutes was killing me. And I'm like, man, I already had a respect for boxers. Now I even have even more respect for boxers. And now, but it's like I'm looking at Jake Paul like, bro, you really need to get into that gym and get in conditioning because you getting tired after 3 rounds. It's actually starting to kind of piss me off. And I'm like, yo, you can't just be going 3 rounds and then all of a sudden you get gas. So yeah, he need to work on his conditioning. And you have those resources and a whole gym and you trying to be quote unquote the best boxer in the world. Hit them, start running. Doing a lot of jump rope. Do a lot of footwork. Get your conditioning right. But yeah, so that's it for now, I believe, for the sports shit. And now we're gonna hop right into the nerd and geek shit. My favorite. Alright, well, since I've been out, you know, there's been a there's been there's been quite a few deaths, to my childhood. A lot of people that I grew up watching and have passed away. Uh, well, well, first and foremost, I'd like to give a shout out to all of the all of the people that I recognize. I had to kind of look them up. Some of them that I did remember. Rest in peace to Peter Green. He played in Pulp Fiction, Blue Streak, The Mask, uh, T.K. Carter. He was in Steve Harvey show. He was in a lot of 70s and 80s black shows. I know him as as T-Bone, Steve Harvey show. James Ransone. He was on The Wire. I believe he was on The Conjuring and Sinister. Kerry Hiroyuki uh, Tagawa, also known as Shane's son in Mortal Kombat. D'Angelo, Diane Keaton, um, and then the lady that I didn't end up bringing up her name, but she was on Harry Potter. And let me put some respect on her name and find out her real name because I also forgot the character that she played too. Um, let's see. I'm so mad that I didn't get the sorry. So her name was the name mm, mm, I can't believe that let me check and see if this is her. Damn, bro. Damn, I can't believe I can't find the person's name. That's crazy, man. I don't think it's Marjorie Mason. I don't think it's her. I'm looking at the picture, but I don't think it's her. It may be her, maybe Marjorie Mason, but she. I'm doing a horrible job. Marjorie Mason. Oh, it wasn't Marjorie Mason. Um, damn, bro. Oh man, it wasn't Bellatrix. Let's see. I'm going to kick myself. Uh, yeah, it wasn't Murder Warren. Damn, bro. I can't believe they don't have this shit. It's crazy. That's crazy because I know she had passed away and then her name is not popping up here, which is wild. Maggie Smith. How can I knew it was a fucking what's her name? She was Professor Monagal. M- no, McGonagall. And Maggie Smith, who had passed away, uh, I believe this past year, and yeah, just no, these are all the people that I recognize. You know, actually she passed about 2 years ago, but I didn't do a podcast at that time. Yeah, my apologies for not being. But these are all people that have passed away that I reckon in Rob Reiner, and I will get into that later because usually don't go into politics, and I know you wasn't political, but there was a lot of political things that happened during that time, and I don't want to go into politics. I don't like going into politics, but sometimes I feel like some people need to hear some things, but we will go into that later. But right now, let's go back into the nerd shit. And let's go back into all the stuff that is uplifting and just, you know, entertainment. Um, recently watched the Golden Globes. Uh, it was cool. Watched some of it, didn't watch a lot of it. Or actually watched a lot of it, didn't watch all of it. Mainly watched it because I wanted to see what, you know, K-pop Demon Hunters did. You know, since they've been popular for the longest, and or they've been popular and they've just been popping and just been popping up everywhere. The music got onto the radio. They've been performing. The actress The singers have been performing at the Thanksgiving Day parade and, other events and talk shows, and they've just been all over TV. And I wanted to see what they do in awards, award season. I'm still yet to see what they're going to do in the Grammys, but Golden Globes, they ended up being nominated 3 times and they won twice. Now, one of them, I don't think they should have won that. I think they only won because of the popularity that they got. The movie that should have won, because it was the best animated movie, motion picture or whatever, was Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer was in that category, and Demon Slayer should have won. Demon Slayer was a far better movie than K-pop Demon Hunters. K-pop Demon Hunter was still good. Music was slapping. I mean, that shit got me going, That shit, got me going golden and soda pop. Some people don't like that song, but it's a little catchy. But yeah, it caught me banging my head to the movie and shit. It was pretty cool. But I don't think it should have won for best motion picture. It wasn't. It wasn't better than Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer was a better musical score, better story, more engaging. And even though that was like what I think it was like a 2.5 hour movie, it didn't feel that long. It didn't feel that long. It was just like, man, this is a good movie. It was very engaging. It had a box office success way more than K-pop Demon Hunter. K-pop Demon Hunter was on Netflix, and then it got on theaters. But I guess that ended up getting more views because people were able to rewatch it basically for free, over and over and over. I'm pretty sure they did the same thing for Demon Slayer if it was on there. But with the box office success they got, like something like anywhere between $700 and $900 in box office. Yeah, they made a lot of money, and a lot of people saw that movie, but it just didn't have the global popularity that K-pop Demon Hunters did. They didn't have people that's going out performing at talk shows and events and stuff like that, parades or whatever. I think that's the only reason why I won, because of the popularity, not because it was an actual better movie. But, shout out to K-pop Demon Hunters. Still, going on to awards. Still, the Game Awards happened, I believe, sometime last month. So now, alrighty, so we have the Game Awards, and so let's start off. And if you know anything about the games, I'm pretty sure you have a good idea on which game won a lot of awards. I believe they won 8, maybe 9 awards. But let's just go on the list of Game Awards. So, Game of the Year, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 won. Beat out Death Stranding, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silksong, which I heard was a good game, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Best Game Direction, Clair Obscur. Ghost of Yotei was on there. That's the game that I'm playing right now that I'm streaming. Let's see. We have Best Narrative, Clair Obscur. Best Art Direction, Clair Obscur. Let's see. Best Score in Music, Clair Obscur. Best Audio Design, Battlefield Design, or Battlefield 6. Clair Obscur actually lost out to Battlefield 6. Best Performance, Jennifer English, Clair Obscur. Beat out Troy Baker and the famous face Charlie Cox, Daredevil. Innovation and Accessibility, winner is Doom: The Dark Ages. Clair Obscur wasn't even in this. surprising. Games for Impact, South of Midnight. Heard a little bit about that game. Best ongoing, No Man's Sky. Haven't heard of that game, but I guess it's been ongoing. Marvel Rivals is in there. Helldivers 2 is still on there, which Helldivers 2 is actually a really fun game. Final Fantasy 14 and Fortnite still going. Best community support, Baldur's Gate 3. I guess people are nice on that shit. Because I know Fortnite and Helldivers 2, yeah. Best independent game, Clear Obscure. Absalom is on this list, and Absalom was a fun game. I enjoyed that game. Best debut indie game, Clear Obscure. And I've been hearing about Dispatch, and I guess that's pretty good too. Best mobile game. Don't even know. It's Pretty Derby. I'm not even gonna say the first name. Best VR AR game is The Midnight Walk. Best action game, Hades 2. Beat out Battlefield 6, Ninja Gaiden 4, Doom the Dark Ages. Best action adventure game. Winner is Hollow Knight Silksong. Ghost of Yota has been nominated a lot, has not won once. And Split Fiction is another good game. And Death Stranding 2 has also been in a lot of these categories and haven't won. Best RPG, Claire Obscure. Must be a really good game, because I've been hearing about that shit a lot, and I may have to get it now. Best fighting game, Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves. Didn't even know they had a Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, Capcom Fight Collection 2, and Virtual Fighter 5 Revo World Stage, and 2X KO. The Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves have won for Best Fighting. Best Family, Donkey Kong Bonanza. I actually tried that for a little bit for some demo at Best Buy. Seems like a fun game. Split Fiction. Again, in there, Mario Kart and Sonic. Best Sim Strategy, Final Fantasy Tactics, The Invalid Chronicles. So I guess Final Fantasy Tactics, I heard about it from certain podcast, loves that game. Best Sports Racing, we have Mario Kart World, beat out Sonic. EA Sports, FC26, F125, and Rematch. I heard some people actually like Sonic Racing more than the Mario Kart World. But Mario Kart has won. Best multiplayer, Arc Raiders. I've been seeing a lot of gameplay of Arc Raiders. Might have to get into that. Best adaptation is The Last of Us Season 2. You have Minecraft movie, Devil May Cry, pretty good. Splinter Cell, Death Watch, that's on my list. I will watch that Until Dawn. Actually not a bad movie. But The Last of Us Season 2 makes sense. Most anticipated game, you can already guess what's been the most anticipated game in the last decade. It's Grand Theft Auto 6. And then you have Marvel Wolverine, The Witcher 4, Resident Evil Requiem, and 007 First Light. Content creator of the world, Moist Critical. I've seen him before, but he doesn't pop up a lot of my shit. He doesn't really interest me. You got Kai Cenat, K-Drill, don't know who that is, Sakura Miko, and the Burnt Peanut. I've been seeing him pop up a lot. But Moist Critical, I guess it's the content creator of the year. Best esports game, Counter-Strike 2. Beat out Dota, League of Legends, Valorant, and Mobile Legends Bang Bang. Best esports athlete, some Asian dude for League of Legends. Not going to say his name, not going to fuck it up. And Got best esports team vitality, player's voice. Got Wuthering Waves. And they lost to Ash, and they actually beat out Claire Obscure. Huh. Okay. Guess the voice was on top notch, huh? So, yeah, so that's pretty much all the nerd, um, all the nerd geek shit that I have for now. We'll get into more of it, later, maybe next week. Find some more stories about some nerd geek shit. But I want to spend a little bit of time talking about what's going on with this world today. Speaking of Rob Reiner's death, um, after his death, and shortly before his death, we had the death of Charlie Kirk. Now, I never knew who fucking Charlie Kirk was until he got shot. I seen the guy. I just kept scrolling past because he just liked to argue and just wasn't spitting facts to me. Just spitting a lot of opinions, and that was just his opinions. Very, very radical. Didn't really listen to a lot of this shit until after he died. And then I got into it. It was like, yo, okay, he's kind of wild. Then people started making him a martyr because he's a Christian. Now, from what I've seen, for the most part, Charlie Kirk was a respectful human being. He had debates. That's what he would do. Wasn't really disrespecting anybody, but he would get a little loud, start talking over you, and then kind of disrespecting you a little bit when you start spitting facts at him. I started seeing those type of videos. Can't remember the kid's name, but I believe his name is Dean. And he started spitting facts at him, and you start hearing him just stutter, and it's like like he just started stuttering, started talking over him, would let him finish, and just caught him off guard. Didn't think. I guess he was debating with a lot of college kids. That I personally think that it's going to be easy. It's going to be easy for him to win the debate, But some of the stuff that he was saying was really just wild. The Civil Rights Act movement is, making it harder for white people. Like, where? Who are the CEOs of most of these companies? White people. Who are managers of a lot of these CEO-ran companies? White people. Fortune 500 companies? White people. You see any Mexicans or blacks or any other minorities really being CEOs or managers of certain places? You see a lot of that, so I don't understand why he thought that. Also said that Martin Luther King was a horrible human being. Didn't even say why. Said he was a cheater. Who knew who he was, if he was? But what we saw was a great man that wanted to not have division in what we have in this world today. He was, a lot of people will go off and kind of pick apart some of Charlie Kirk's words into making it great or to making it bad. There were some things that was like, okay, I respected that and what he was saying. Like, for an example, somebody asked him about making a sex change. He, instead of saying it's an abomination, it was just his belief that it shouldn't happen, but he would encourage them to go to therapy first to make sure this is the choice that you want to do. Make sure everything is right before you make that change. He didn't tell her to just, no, don't do that change. He was like, go to therapy. I would advise you to go to therapy first. Make sure you're all right, in the right in the membrane. Make sure you want to make this decision and not just make it because you see it around or whatever. And I was like, okay, I can respect that. But then talk about having live executions TV again, that's a little radical. And saying that women are not smart, that's crazy. Have a lesser IQ than men, that's kind of crazy. That's just like saying that all women are dumb. Basically, just saying all women are dumb. And I know a lot of people that also had talked about him. Again, it's another thing that they misinterpreted what he said, and I actually had to read it and look at it myself because this really divided a lot of people too, especially with Christian values or beliefs of the higher power, that he didn't believe in empathy. He actually never said that. He said like he don't believe in the modern term of empathy, how people use it. People would just use empathy as opposed to using sympathy. They would just use empathy for anything. He didn't like how that term was being used because there's a difference between sympathy and empathy. And he just didn't like how that term being used. Now, I'm not defending Charlie Kirk at all. I'm just saying again, I was not a fan of his work. I didn't think he was necessarily a great person. Didn't necessarily think he was a bad person. I honestly believe that he was one of those. Well, for one, I believe he was an opportunist because he didn't like Donald Trump at first, said he wasn't a fan of him. But now that he's going to turn around and like be on Trump's side, he realized who his audience can be. And that was white people. And he say these things and he can get the popularity. Now he started just popping up all over. And now they just made a day for him, which I'm not going to ever remember that shit. A lot of people not going to remember that shit. Now, not defending him. Don't think he's a great guy. Don't think he's a terrible person. I think he's a very, I think he's like a very ignorant racist. And what I mean by that is he don't hate black people. I don't think he hates black people. I can't really say. I'm not going to know now. I believe he's one of those ones that he's going to keep an eye out, or was going to keep an eye out on black people. Like, he'll see 20 people in the house. He can invite 20 people in his house, but he'll point out the 4 or 5 black people that's in the house. And he would say something like, I believe he would say something like, no, I'm not racist. I have 5 black people in my house the other day. Don't even know how many white people he had in there because he's not worried about them. I believe he keeps an eye out on black people to make sure, keep an eye close to them. So I believe he's one of those people. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to hate you, but I got to keep my eye on you. There's something still off about you. I don't completely trust you. That's what I believe Charlie Kirk was. So, but because it's Christian values and what a lot of Christians do nowadays, they make him a martyr. It made him a martyr. And that brings me to Rob Reiner. Oh, before the Rob Reiner, Jimmy Kimmel ended up getting off set because they said they disrespected Charlie Kirk's name. I mean, he said nothing about Charlie Kirk. He just said with the death of Charlie Kirk, Trump is treating his death like a goldfish. Because he had no sympathy at all for Charlie Kirk. He didn't care that he died. He was just another pawn. He almost felt like he was just using Charlie Kirk as a pawn. And him talking about the ballroom that he's creating when asked about Charlie Kirk, just brushed that shit off. And I was like, people are not seeing this. And his followers are not seeing this. And it really bothers me that you have a president like that just don't give a shit about people. We already knew this. I already knew this, but his followers is not seeing us. And then it's like now they want to cut off Jimmy Kimmel because he disrespected Charlie Kirk's name. Didn't say anything bad about Charlie Kirk at all. Didn't make light of the situation about Charlie Kirk's death. He made light of the situation about how Trump treated Charlie Kirk's death. Now, Rob Reiner came on, got murdered by his son. Donald Trump throwing shit on his name, disrespecting him. Everybody's going off, all his followers going off, throwing shame on his name, talking about what a horrible person he was, that he got a TDS or whatever the fuck that shit was that Trump made up, throwing shade on his name. And it's like, okay, you get upset when somebody makes a joke about how you treated somebody else's death, but you're shitting on somebody else's name when they died. They got brutally murdered. Charlie Kirk got murdered. Rob Reiner got murdered. You don't see like showing no sympathy at all for either one. And then just recently, a woman got killed in Minnesota by an ICE agent. Claimed that she tried to run him over with the car. I don't believe she tried that. I saw all angles of the vehicle. She tried to get out of there. It ain't her fault that he stood there in front of the fucking car, and she clearly ruled her or wheeled her. Turned her wheel all the way to the right to try to get out. She was not trying to run the dude over at all. And they tried to sit there and say that she smirked, and they're just throwing shade on her name now, making light of that situation, making jokes about her and George Floyd finally being together because they both died in Minnesota. Now I have family members that is following up on that shit, and I don't say shit to them about it because I know they're not going to listen. They're not going to fucking listen. They're stuck on their own shit. I want to say some things, but they're not going to listen. It's the reason why I don't talk to one of them anyway, because this motherfucker didn't want to listen. He actually didn't want to take accountability and actually be sorry for what he has said. But I'm not going to really go into that. But if he ever watched this, hopefully you know who you are. And he probably won't. Probably won't, because I don't think he can do no wrong. I don't think he can do no wrong. But I'm talking about this because it bothers me on how divided this country has become, or it appears that this country has become. It's actually a lot of people that do not like what's going on right now. But we're just hearing the noises from the small minority that loves what Donald Trump is doing. And that's because they got money and they're not going to be touched. They're not got nothing to worry about. They're not going to be touched. They can just sit in there and just, once Trump says something, that's when they'll follow. And that's the one thing I notice about Democrats and Republicans. Democrats have a mind of their own. When they see something that they don't like, they go out there and protest. They don't wait for nobody to tell them what to do. Republicans have to be told what to do. January 6th riot, Capitol. Trump told them, let's go out there. And they went out there. They were not going to go do that shit if he didn't tell them to. They don't have a mind of their own. They don't think. They're followers. A lot of the Republicans are followers. A lot of the Democrats try to lead. Republicans, they listen to what a leader says and then follow what they're saying. Don't even think about if it's right or wrong. Man, you got some Republicans out there that are just like, yo, I'm not for this shit. This shit is crazy. This is wild. I even had some people that even follow, the people that are close to me about some of the shit that they post. And they was like, yo, I agree with you on a lot of things, but this right here, this is not good. This is not good. And you're supposed to be a Christian. You're supposed to be a follower of Christ. Hell, you actually want to do a job that actually bring you closer to Christ. You actually want to lead people. This is not what a real leader does. This is not what a good leader does. But yeah, it's just I'm not for Democrats or Republicans. I don't really care. I all I know is I just don't like Trump. I don't like how he handles things. I don't like how he does things. Because this is not a real leader. This dude is probably as evil as they come since Hitler. And dumb as they come since Bush. He made Bush look like a genius. I mean, bring out the Epstein files. That's all I'm going to say right there. Bring out the Epstein file. Why are you hiding on the Epstein file? And speaking of which, there was something about somebody calling him a pedophile, pedophile protector, and he didn't like that. Flipped him off. Said fuck you. You know who else said fuck you? And people criticize him for saying fuck? The governor of Minnesota or the mayor of Minnesota. Mayor or governor of Minnesota, one of this. I don't know exactly who he was, but he said, get the fuck out of my town, out of my city. People was just like, oh, this is the type of guy you want to follow. But look what Trump did. He said, fuck you. Calling him a name. Soft baby orange ass. Yo. And I don't wish this upon anybody. And I put this up a couple years ago. Actually, his first time. And I had tweeted that I don't wish this upon anybody, but I'm afraid. I'm surprised you survived the first term. But I think that this time, I'm afraid somebody gonna snipe this motherfucker. And that's just not what we need as a country. I don't think it's gonna be a riot over it because, like I said, Republicans don't know what to do unless they're being told what to do. If Trump said, suck my dick and it will cure you of cancer, I'm pretty sure a lot of them will be lining up to suck the little 4-incher. People that I know included. All right, well, that's enough for political talk. Not going to do a lot of that, but I just needed to get that out and just kind of hope that we just come together. I just want us to come together and see what the problem is. And it's just been a loud problem. And it's just been very disheartening that, I have family members and friends that follow that bullshit and think that bullshit is right and try to make excuses about past bullshit about a president that's no longer president, hasn't been president for almost a decade. They're still talking shit about him and just like, yo, that's been a great 8 years for us. It's been a quiet, great 8 years for us. Hell, it's been a quiet last 4 years before Trump. The loudest years have been Trump. People don't see that because a lot of them have money and they're not going to be touched. They don't understand what a lot of us go through. So the majority of this country, and you can see it in the Fox rating news self. Fox News itself ratings have been the lowest. They do not approve of Donald Jennifer Trump. It's in there. Clearly he's doing something wrong here. All right, well, release the Epstein files. So I'm going to be out. Thank y'all for listening. Again, not going to be doing a lot of political talk. I just need to get that off my chest on how I feel. And, That's it for the podcast. Stay up. Take care of everyone. Take care of the mentals. Take care of yourself. Peace out.